Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, I'm Firda Fitriana Dewi. You can call me Firda and I'm from class Extensive Reading G. In this video, I would like to present my summary about biography book of Martin Luther King Jr. Okay guys, let's get started. Martin Luther King Jr. Who is he? He was born on 15th of January 1929. He graduated from David T. Howard Elementary and The Washington High School. Then he continued his study and graduated from Morehouse College in 1948. He was also the foremost leader of the civil rights movement in period of the Montgomery bus boycott. In this presentation, there are 5 points of Martin Luther King Jr. that I will talk about. The first point, that is presidential proclamation. The second point, which is the power of non-violence action. And the third point, non-violent through U.S. history. And the last is harnessing the power of protest. Okay, now I would like to talk about the first point, the presidential proclamation. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. inspired a movement that called the Generation of Americans. Therefore, President Barack Obama proclaimed on 16th of January 2012 as the Martin Luther King Jr. federal holiday. The second point, the power of nonviolent action. Dr. Martin Luther King was known as the leader of nonviolence movement that inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. Indeed, the past 30 years of people power movement have been responsible for advancing democratic change in nearly 60 countries during this period. The third point, nonviolent through U.S. history. When people set out to create social change, they have to decide whether to use violence to achieve their ends. But some decide to use nonviolence because they just believe that violence will not succeed in gaining their goals, or they are afraid of getting hurt. Harnessing the power of protest. In the 20th century, the ideas of Tolstoy and Gandhi came back to the United States and inspired many Americans who often did not know that so much of the theory of nonviolence had originated in their own country. Nonviolent actions such as boycotts, blockades, and disobedience to law may look like enforcement, but if it done in a true spirit of nonviolence, they are just ways to follow moral truth as people to see it. In fact, according to the Mahatma Gandhi, they should never be concerned about the outcome of their action at all. They should only be sure that they are doing the morally right thing at every moment. The most famous exponent of nonviolence in the United States was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the greatest spokesman of the civil rights of African and Americans in the 1960s and 1950 and 1960. Dr. King agreed with Mahatma Gandhi, but unlike Mahatma Gandhi, though Dr. Martin Luther King was concerned about the result of his action. He wanted to provoke conflict and win political victories. Since the 1960s, the United States has seen a growing interest in principle nonviolence applied to many political issues, though it still counts only a very small minority of the population among its adherents. Now, we will talk about the last point, that is harnessing the power of protest. The story here is the new ability of uncoordinated groups to achieve the kind of goal such groups have always shared. On 27th of March 2006, Monday, secondary school students in Los Angeles, California, surprised teachers and administrators by taking a schoolwork out in protest. The protestants were 30,000 students, and it was impossible to doing all at 48 hours. In fact, students could coordinate with one another, not just person to person, but in groups by MySpace and SMS tools. In the digital realism, to speak is to publish, and to publish online is to open the possibility of connecting with others. With this medium, freedom of speech, freedom of press, and freedom of association now do so as well. This is why many of significant changes are based not on the fanciest, newest bits of technology, but on simple, easy-to-use tools such as email, mobile phones, and websites. Those are the tools most people have access to and critically uncomfortable using in their daily lives. Revolution doesn't happen when society adopts new technologies, but it happens when society adopts new behaviors. So guys, that's all from me. Thanks a lot for your nice attention, and I apologize for all mistakes that I have done. The last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.